All right, I want to welcome you today to the afternoon edition, a special afternoon edition of Hopcat Presents Local Spins Live at River City Studios. I'm John Sinkovich with localspins.com, a website that covers West Michigan's music scene. And we were very honored to spotlight a band that's growing in popularity across the country and about to release a brand new album. Welcome to the Crane Wives. This is the 7th edition of the Local Spins Live at River City series, which showcases some of the region's most talented and emerging acts. I want to thank Roy Wallace from River City Studios and Brennan and the River City Studios video team, as well as our sponsor, Hopcat. Today's performances and interview will be available at localspins.com later this month, so keep an eye out on the website and share it with folks who aren't able to be here tonight. Most of you already know these bright and talented folks on the stage today, but let me introduce you anyway to Kate Pillsbury, Emily Petersmark, Dan Rickabus, and Ben Zito, otherwise known as the Crane Wives. It's been quite the 5-year ride for you folks, and the band first was formed 5 years ago or so, and 2015 has maybe been your busiest year yet. You've been doing plenty of touring around the country, and you've recorded a new studio album. So I'm wondering, looking back over the 5 years, what's been the biggest change for you folks, do you think, over the Crane Wives of 2015 versus the Crane Wives of, let's say, 2011?
I think we went through kind of a band paradigm shift in December. We had a member leave, and sound kind of changed, and it was a nice opportunity to just kind of evolve and see what comes out. And we've kind of done a lot for the whole band's history anyway. When we get together and make music, we don't decide what it should sound like before we start playing. We just kind of start playing, and we all have diverse influences. So it's kind of like at the beginning of this year, it was kind of like going back to square one with kind of what the band should sound like. And so we actually recorded 2 albums at once this winter and spring, and they are kind of all over the map with influences, but somehow cohesive, which worked out great. But it's been a lot of change. It's been a lot. We also went full-time. It's almost a year now of us being all full-time, no day jobs. So it's been a huge change. It's been kind of looking at it in the eye and saying, let's do this. Let's make this our job in our life, as opposed to passion that we do when we can, and just been riding it. It's been amazing.
So this is your 3rd studio album. So how is this different than the first 2 albums that you guys have put together in your view? How has the sound changed?
Well, anybody else want to take this one? I don't know if there's an order.
When we started out in 2010, we were just like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and rearing to play anything we could play. And when we wrote a song, it was kind of like, all right, here are our chords, here are our lyrics, let's play in front of an audience, because we were just so excited to play. But this new album is more composition-focused. We spent a lot of time rehearsing and fine-tuning all of the details of the music. So I think what we have is like our first really professional album. The music and the quality of the album, I think this is like the album that could potentially help us make a scene in the national sphere. You
guys have been touring a lot more in terms of outside of Michigan over the last year. You've gone out west a couple of times. You've been out east as far as New York and elsewhere. How has that changed either the way you play your music or in the way audiences respond? How has all this touring really fit into what you guys are doing?
I think it's made us really comfortable with performing. I mean, it's always kind of nerve-wracking to be on stage in front of an audience, but I think that playing every day for a month has definitely helped it become a little more like muscle memory, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
I find it really invigorating too when you're playing to a group of people who've never heard you before, and they come up and give reactions. We have, like you guys know, we have the most supportive music community on the planet here, and it's also wonderful to be out there and having people that come into the show that you might think like, are these people going to be into it or not? And then they come up to you afterwards and yes, they're into it. And
sometimes you'll walk into a bar and it's like a metal venue and they're playing like death rock in the back while they're setting up. And you're like, I don't know that people are going to stay. I would leave. But no, so it's always a surprise.
Well, it's clear that you guys are playing some places you've never played before, so you're exposing your music to new audiences, and sometimes that doesn't necessarily always translate into a big crowd because people don't know who you are, so you're probably playing in some places where you may play in front of 5 or 10 people. The question is, How do you turn that around? Are you going back to some of these places as you tour continually to sort of build the audience? Or what's happening is you guys are selling lots of albums at these shows anyway because people are really excited about what you're doing?
I guess it's kind of a mix of those two. I mean, the goal is kind of always to, once you hit a city and you make a little bit of a splash, you go back, and you keep building it until Dave from Green Sky told us you have to keep hitting a city until it feels like home, and until every city in the country feels like home, which, that takes a lot of stamina and a lot of time, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, we've been really surprised by the reactions of people coming up and buying merch. And we had our dear friend Chris come on the road with us this time, and he was selling stuff, and we got some great advice about how you kind of have to have a merch person at the booth to sell things. And so that's been a treat. He's coming up to us all the time saying all these people are having reactions. So it's kind of a balance of those two things you said. It's like, it is surprising, and we're getting a surprising size crowd at almost every show. We're kind of like, wow, we didn't think that would happen. But it's always a first step in each town, and you got to kind of show them who you are and what you're doing and why they should care and go from
Are there
there.
pockets in the country where you figure you guys have done better or gotten bigger reaction than maybe others, whether it's out east or out west?
I was very surprised by the reaction out east. We've played the West a couple times already, and Colorado is kind of like Michigan. There are a lot of music lovers there, and we've had a good reception there. But when we went out east to New York and New Jersey and Washington, D.C., we had people show up for us, and like bigger crowds than even some of our Colorado shows. So I guess we've just got some fans out east, which is a surprise to us. But it was incredible.
All right, well, let's hear some of that new music. Is this an old song or a new song you're going to start out with?
New-ish.
Yeah, we're doing
Ish.
all new tunes.
This one's on the new album.
It is, all right.
Some of you may be familiar with it
So
already.
what are we playing first?
This is called Allies or Enemies.
Words are speed, wildfires and weeds, they spread like some awful damn disease. I swear I didn't mean what I said. I swear I didn't mean it. Now listen close. You owe me ears, you trapped me, get it all. Caught me in a moment weak, and sometimes I just can't help myself. Sometimes I can't help myself at all. Are we allies or enemies? This will be the death of me. Remember when I could tell you not to smile, man? You would always crack, and we'd both be laughing in the end. Now you're not so quick to forget. Are we allies or enemies? This will be the death of me. This will be the death of me. All this fear and love and war, but I can't fight with you anymore. This will be the death of me. Happens now. Do we have another goal to leave out? Take our separate roads. I'll admit I've had my doubts, but I want to be let in, not out. Oh, I want to be let in, not out. Are we allies or enemies? This will be the death of me. This will be the death of me. All is fear and love and war, but I can't fight with you anymore. This will be the death of me. death of me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, one of the things that all audiences respond to first is the distinctive and wonderful harmonies that this band has. The three of you in particular really do a great job with the harmonies. How much time do you guys spend working on the vocals and the harmonies, or is this something that really has come naturally for you?
First of all, Zito's singing. You just can't hear him. And trust me,
he
it's
doesn't
beautiful.
have a microphone, yeah.
I don't know. We do some fine tuning, especially in the studio. And Emily's kind of like our pitch alien. She has a creepy sense of pitch, and so when it doesn't just happen naturally, we kind of do the whole math equation puzzle and try to like figure it out. But most of the time, it's just kind of coming out, which is weird, and it's kind of a special thing that we found with these three voices that just kind of happens, I think.
My favorite thing about singing harmonies, though, is the fact that like each part alone sounds really weird on its own. Like it's not something you would just write, especially Dan's parts. All of Dan's parts are just kind of like this weird non-song in the middle. We talk all the time about Dan doing a solo album in which he just sings his own parts or makes mouth noises for the rest of the.
It's so weird.
It's so good.
Every time Emily writes a song, she builds the harmonies right in them, and then she'll try to teach me my parts during practice, and I will just flip her off every time because the harmonies are so bizarre. The notes that you sing when you're singing harmony is a lot different than when you're singing melody. But
Well, the two of you actually started singing together, which is how this really got started, isn't it?
Yeah, for the band, yep. I think for a long time we were playing separately as solo artists, and we had the brainiac idea to finally try to sing together, and it just kind of melded. Like there's different voices that mesh together, and we've had a lot of people tell us that we sound like sister, like we're sister harmonies, which is like the biggest compliment you can give to singers, because that means that we can kind of emulate each other, and it's really cool.
You mentioned that you spent more time on the composition end of things for the next couple of albums. Coyote Stories, by the way, is the first album that's coming out, and it's at the end of the week. You guys will be performing at Founders Brewing, which should be a fun show. So how does the songwriting process work for this band? Do each of you bring in your own material for the other band members to sort of add parts to, or do you sort of work collaboratively in the studio creating the songs from scratch?
It's really fun because it's a mix. There are tunes that Kate or Emily will write on their own in their bedroom and then bring to us, or it doesn't have to be in the bedroom, I guess, but can be outside. But they'll write them on their own, just like kind of private creative space, and then they kind of become a band song from there. Other times...
He says Kate or Emily, but he also writes some songs as well.
It's true,
in
I
his
do have
bedroom.
2 tunes on this. Yeah, but only in the bed. No. And then there's other stuff like our song Sleeping Giants, for example, just kind of exploded out of nowhere. It was like Kate had some chords and a vague melody, and then in like an hour and a half on the beach, it all just wrote itself, and we kind of, someone would have an idea. And I like, sometimes when we have these collaborative writing sessions, Emily has this tendency to be like, go, 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 like make it really fast. And I like that because that's one thing that I've been really trying to do with this new music is use my instincts way more than my brain. And it's just kind of like, hear the tune and what does it feel like should happen? Just play how it comes out, like the less thinking I can do about writing it, the better. But
I'm glad my impatience has good qualities. Then.
yeah.
But do all of you
with
share in
writing.
the lyric writing?
What's that?
Do all of you share in the lyric writing?
When we
That's-
do the collaboration, yeah, we all are a part of that. When we write our own songs, basically Emily will usually write a song, or I will write a song, or Dan will write a song. But every once in a while, Emily and I will take half a song to each other and try to finish it out that way.
There's a song on the new album, sorry to interrupt you, but there's a song called New Discovery that was like, in my eyes, kind of one of the first like complete co-writes of you guys just kind of sitting on a porch. So I like that because you get certain sides, you get like an individual emotion out of someone on the album, and then the next track might be this group feeling, kind of fun.
How many songs did you write then or record in the studio, and why did you guys decide to split it up into 2 albums?
Because a 30-song album seemed like a lot.
Yeah, I think we did have 30 tunes, and we picked 24. So there's a 13 tracker and an 11 tracker, and Just kind of split them up.
We kind of figured it had been a couple years since we released The Fool in Her Wedding Gown, and we knew it would be another year before this new album came out. So I think it was kind of a thank you to our fans. Like, you've been very patient. Here is one CD, and then in a couple months you'll get another one.
When is the next one coming out after this?
Springtime, sometime. February is probably the earliest it'll happen.
Very hopeful.
Yeah, we want to make sure though that it gets its time too. Like, it's not just Coyote Stories 2.
Yeah.
You know, and people are like, "Oh, this is a fun bonus."
Yeah, it's not like like the B-sides of Coyote Stories. It's its own album. Like, we've put some of our favorite songs on the second album. So we really want them to be separate entities.
So
But
starting
also
with
sisters.
Dan, we talked a little bit about the songwriting process. I want you guys to give me two names. One is a band that you're listening to a lot now that you really love, and a band that maybe influenced you as a musician.
Ooh, starting with me.
Yeah.
One I'm listening to right now pretty obsessively is My Morning Jacket. I just always love what they do, and they do what they do with so much heart. And, we took a lot of new sonic directions on this work and tried to expand the sounds and the textures, and they're huge with sound and texture. And I like how lighthearted they are. They have a nice balance of meaningfulness but playfulness, and like, we just went and saw them. Zito and I just went and saw them, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. So My Morning Jacket for the listening. And then, so you're talking like early on, changed everything, I'd have to say Incubus. So my first favorite band was Incubus. I bought, I think it was Make Yourself at age 13 or something. And then Morning View came out, and I was like, and the song Aqueous Transmission was at the end of that. And that was back when my young preteen self was just locked in rock and roll. It was like, if it doesn't rock, it's horrible. And I think that song Aqueous Transmission just blew my mind and really hit me. And I've pretty much tried to make every song sound like that ever since.
All right, so I'll go in reverse. I'll start with a band that has influenced me. I'm actually a solo artist. It's really hard to choose just one, but I'll say Regina Spektor because she's very strange and lovely, and her voice transcends this universe, I think. She's my goddess, apparently. That's a little weird. Sorry, guys. And then as far as who I'm listening to right now, I feel a little guilty saying this because we just opened for them last night, but it's true. Lake Street Dive is this amazing band that has just blown up in the past year. I saw them last year at Frederick Meyer Gardens, and it was one of the most stunning performances I've ever seen. And last night was the same way. They rock it every time.
Yeah, that was at Bell's Brewery in Kalamazoo, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I've had the most time to think about this, and I'm the one with the least prepared answer. I guess a band that I'm really into right now is Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. They just released an album on Friday, and they are phenomenal, like soul, pop, funk, ridiculousness from Denver, and they are fantastic. An artist that has influenced me, I guess, would be Fiona Apple. I always have to say Fiona Apple because she was the first like female artist that I ever listened to that I didn't think was country at all. You know what I mean? Like, for a while, the only female artists that were really popular were Jewel or Michelle Branch or something of that nature.
The ones that actually play instruments.
Exactly. Yeah. But then came Fiona, and she is just like this monster poet, like animal. She's so raw and so honest in her music, even if it kind of exposes things that aren't quite so nice, which I really appreciate and aspire to.
Yeah, those are great choices. So the bassist now has to pick his favorites.
Well, I actually got pretty lucky because they were all too scared to take it. We were listening to Phosphorescent Blues by the Punch Brothers pretty much on repeat on our tour. And that album is probably like the best thing to happen to music in a decade or more.
Agreed.
So, wow, holy cow. Go listen to that. It's the complexity, but the simplicity. It's like songs are beautiful, but it's just go listen to it. As for something that influenced me, I'd probably just go with the band, because
The band.
The band, yeah. I mean, this is a Rick Danko bass. Like, it's the best, It's like this group mentality music. It's kind of like party music. You can dance to it, but it's still got a lot of meaning. And the band, come on.
Okay, we want to hear this band now. I'm going to have you guys play a couple of songs in a row, and you can tell any backstories you want about the stories and how the songs came together, or just rip right into them.
This is a song called Rock Slide, and I actually wrote this tune in 2011, and we have this, honestly what happened was we have this cover of an Avett Brothers song, Kick Drum Heart, and I thought we'd eventually phase it out, but I loved the energy of it and how it was like super urgent and fast. So I kind of set to writing this urgent, fast song, and I thought, what better for urgency than like the theme of running from a rock slide as fast as you can. And then it just kind of sat on the shelf for a long time, and about a year ago or so, someone was like, what about rock slide? And brought it back, and this is what it sounds like now. 1, 2, 3.
I hear rumbling, honey, up on the peak. This vital weather's got the mountain shaking weak. I hear rumbling, honey, up on the peak. This vital weather's got the mountain shaking weak. Oh, I know you long to plant your feet, but let's get a move on, or the devil we will meet. I feel quaking, honey, I feel it deep. Backside is under while the people are asleep. I feel quaking, honey, I feel it deep. Backside is under while the people are asleep. I'm afraid to dare my soul to keep. But let's get a move on, or the devil we will meet. Drop it, spring my darling down. Drop it, spring my darling down. Don't look back now, honey, just try to breathe. That monster's coming, it don't care for you or me. Don't look back now, honey, just try to breathe. That monster's coming, it don't care for you or me. Angels will be somewhere sweet, but let's get a move on, or the devil we will meet. Angels will be somewhere sweet, but let's get a move on, or the devil we will meet.
Thank you. We're going to switch gears now here. We all have a deep love for the ukulele. That was something that influenced me at a young age, was Israel Kamakawiwo'ole and his music.
You just wanted to say the name.
I sound cool because I know how to say his name. That's really what's going on. But the uke is awesome. It just provides this like different feel of a landscape for when you're going in that strange period between idea and execution, and you're trying to write something, and it's like, how do I make this come out of my head and into reality? And I find the ukulele simplifies that process a lot more. And this is a Kate Pillsbury tune. It's Nothing at All.
Yeah, we got to make sure we don't blow out you guys' ears with the ukulele. Hope that's okay in there, Roy. So this song, it's a song I wrote when let me start over. Okay, so I've said this a lot in the past month, but Emily and I have a lot of failings, as you could tell from some of our music. It's a little emo sometimes. But there have been times in my life where I've struggled a little bit with depression, and sometimes that can manifest in the form of sadness, and that's where we get some of those emo songs. Sometimes it manifests in not really feeling anything at all. So this song is about that, and kind of how you really shouldn't wish to not have any heartache or pain in your life, because really it's beautiful to be able to feel things. And when you can feel pain, that means that eventually you can feel happiness again. So this song is called Nothing at All.
Thank you.
So, in terms of direction, would you say that the new album has more of a pop or a rock flavor? How do you guys describe what's happened from the last album to this one in terms of the musical direction?
Dude, we actually just had this multiple hour long conversation about genre words in the van on the way home from Gatlinburg to Michigan, because we're kind of living in this wacky time where there's so much happening that genre words are kind of failing us all, and we get that question all the time because you want people to understand what they're getting into when they listen to your tunes. But anyway, it's a weird conundrum we're existing in now, and it's kind of more everything. The new album is, Kate's playing a lot of electric guitar and Emily plays some too. We've got guest musicians on there doing lap steel and electric guitar and all sorts of other stuff. But there's influences from jazz to hip hop to blues to rock happening on there. And so we're getting increasingly harder to describe, which is my favorite thing.
Short answer, we don't know.
Yeah.
You mentioned the collaborative nature of the West Michigan music scene, which of course is sensational, but you guys had a lot of help in the studio this time around. Who were some of how did that help in terms of your project, in terms of the musicians you brought in?
It was amazing. It was just kept it really fresh. And we had Stephen Leaf from Stephen Leaf and the Expats out of Chicago, and he did a lot of kind of spacey guitar work, some kind of southern slide guitar work on some stuff. We had Seth Bernard of the Earthwork Music Collective, a good friend of ours who did some lap steel on a song. We had the Accidentals out of Traverse City, who are one of our favorite bands, and Katie and Savannah of the Accidentals came in and laid down violin and cello on a couple tunes, and it was gorgeous. It just blew us away. And because Michael Dawes of the Accidentals was there, we had him play the sleigh bells on one song, just so he could be on the album. Ian Gorman, our audio engineer, laid down some bass organ that added a subtle punch to one of the parts of the tune.
Justin Dory,
who
Big
usually
Duty
plays
Roo.
guitar with Big Duty Roo, came and played trumpet on a tune. And am I missing anybody?
That's a great collection
No, I
of
think that's
musicians.
it.
I have to say.
Yeah, we got really lucky.
Yeah. So what do you got next? I'm going to warn the audience that after the next song, I'm going to have them ask you some questions, some really deeply personal questions.
This is a song called Metaphor.
I've gotten good at leaning on metaphor. I've gotten good at living on someone else's page. I've cut my teeth on secondhand sentiment. You can't trust a single thing I say. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I keep my closet free of skeletons, 'cause I'm much better at digging graves. But I always dig up bones in your sympathy.
Thank you.
So you guys feel like you've matured as musicians since you started this band? Because I'm watching, Kate play the electric guitar, which I'm having great joy watching these days. So how has that changed from the time you guys started?
Oh, man.
I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but
I don't think that ever goes away. Like, you progress, but your goals get a lot further off as you go. So that might just be part of being a human. But I think that we have definitely evolved. And I know that I have been forced to get better at my instrument in the past 8 months. Because with acoustic, you can take some liberties here and there. You can kind of mess up every now and then. It's not very noticeable. But when you play an electric instrument and you mess up, everyone knows when you mess up. So that gets really embarrassing really fast.
The volume level
Yeah.
and everything else. All right, I'm going to open it up to the audience for the people who want to ask the Crane Wives a question. Who wants to start out?
Oh, I like that you're shy. This is good.
At what point did you guys decide that you wanted to become a band? Like, it all just came together. It's like, hey, let's make music together and be the Crane Wives.
Ooh.
That's a really good question.
Well, Emily and I started playing together because we had a terrible job together, and we saw an opportunity to play music at our job instead of like serving tables. So we started doing that on Friday nights instead of serving. But then we kind of like Dan and Tom and I were doing a little thing at the time, and Ben and Dan knew each other from their club at Grand Valley, Scientists of Sound. Yeah, I got it right. So we had like these different groups going on, and I don't know, it just kind of like, I was distracted with Tom and Dan, and then Emily. It was like, why don't we just mix them? Like, we don't have to have two separate groups. And so that happened, and then a couple months later, we were very bassless. Like, we needed bass in our band, and we didn't realize it because we don't have a great ear for bass. Like, we do now that we have the best bassist in West Michigan. But he came along. He's like, you need bass. And we're like, all right. He's like, I'll play bass. We're like, okay.
He actually started as our recording engineer for the first album, and then I feel like he was just plotting all along.
I think the first video I saw of you guys was at Riverside Park. Is that true? You guys played
Yeah.
a song there, right?
Well, no, that was at Grand Valley.
yeah.
Grand Valley? All right.
Yeah.
It was outside.
It's in the
I know that.
Arboretum.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. Oh, my goodness.
Another question?
For those who are listening to the podcast, here John scales the audience to give someone the microphone.
What was the first musical instrument or music lesson or someone that inspired you that you were like, hey, this is fun. I really want to do this?
Who wants to start?
I've been playing music since I was about 3 years old. I started with piano, and I hated it. It was like a 12-year struggle in which me and my mom fought constantly about whether or not I was going to actually go to my lessons. But thank goodness that she forced me because I think that it's really helped make the rest of making music a lot easier, just having that bass line.
I feel like I've kind of come full circle because when I was very young, like 8, my parents got me an acoustic guitar for Christmas per my insistence, like a little kid's acoustic guitar. And I got bored with it very, very quickly. But then 5 years later, my dad was getting rid of his electric guitar, and he gave that to me. And that's how I started learning how to play guitar. Eventually dropped the electric for an acoustic. And then I'm back here again. Can't make up my mind.
I started at 9 on a toy drum set playing along to my Power Rangers cassette. That's how it started.
Dan has the best stories.
always
None of
have
us
to
can
outdo
compete.
us.
Oh, well, yeah. And then played in band. I did percussion all through school, had some great teachers, played in drumline. Then my dad was smart enough to soundproof a room in our basement, and that's how it started. We got to get Ben in there. You got to.
I actually started on saxophone. Played in a ska band in high school. I thought all the cool people played saxophone, I had Kenny G cassettes and stuff, which is really embarrassing, but true. And then picked up a guitar sometime in high school to play in a cover band with some friends, and then switched to bass in there, and here I am.
I think that's interesting, though, because a lot of Ben's parts are very melodic. They sound like horn parts to me. So I think that all falls into place. I guess.
I have to admit, I've known you guys for 4 years. It's the first time I've ever heard that he played saxophone in a ska band. This is a new piece of information here you guys are hearing today.
Emily and Ben were both in ska bands, and before they knew each other, they played a show together
We played a
with their
battle
ska
of the bands,
bands.
and neither of our bands won. Believe it or not.
I want to hear the Clean Wives do a ska song now. Anybody else?
I know you guys do a lot of different shows, and I wanted to know, like, what was your favorite kind of audience, like late at night when there's a big crowd and everybody's dancing and it's really energetic and fun, or like when it's chill in a bar with like a few people and everything's kind of slow?
That's a hard question, too.
It is. It's like every show is a different experience, and that's something we're learning the more that we play. You know, sometimes you really do feel like getting with the rowdy crowd and playing them your loudest songs,
Yeah, like
and making them dance.
On Sunday we played with Lake Street Dive, and that was a great homecoming show. You know, like we had been out in uncharted territory for the past month, so it was nice to come home to like a full house and people who like genuinely loved you and your music. So that's nice.
But the downside to that is like you're really just kind of background music for a lot of people at that point. They want to drink their beer and dance, and you don't really matter that much. Like they're excited you're there.
Like a recording would have done the same.
Exactly.
But yeah.
So like that's when the sitting room audiences become nice, because you know those people are actually getting a chance to hear the lyrics that we've worked so hard to write, and that's wonderful in and of itself. You know, we've had a lot of shows where like we expect it to be a rowdy crowd. It's at a bar and there should technically be like 100 people there, but like Kansas City, where we've never played, there might be 10 people in the room. And it goes from being like what we thought would be a rowdy crowd to a very intimate show where we're kind of engaging with the audience a lot. And those actually tend to be really good experiences for both us and the audience.
It is a lot more terrifying, though.
It is, yeah.
To play to a small crowd that is very quiet. Yeah. Like right now, this is a little terrifying because you guys are not, like, you're so quiet. Don't mess up. Don't say something stupid.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's interesting to me because a couple of people that are in this room have been to house shows that we did last winter, and those quickly became like a very favorite thing of mine because like I'm introverted and it's really hard for me to open up sometimes in front of audiences, but with those house shows we'd meet the hosts and we'd have conversations with them and their guests, and then we'd play the music for them, and it felt like they were friends by the time we started playing, so it was very comfortable for us.
I don't think you're terrifying. These people are not terrifying you anymore, I don't think. Anybody else? All right, let's hear another song. And I'm assuming this also will be from the new album, or is this something older?
This is from the new album.
The yet to be released, the February or March release.
It's called Curses. songs to the secrets behind my eye. Oh my, oh my. All my aching bones are trembling, and I may fall apart. Won't you stay with me, my darling, when the war starts in my heart? When the war starts in my heart. Oh, ashes, ashes, dust to dust. The devil's after both of us. Oh, lay my curses all to rest. Make a mercy out of me. Oh, ashes, ashes, dust to dust. Tell me I am good enough. Oh, lay my curses all to rest. Make a mercy out of.
Thank you.
Brand new material from the Crane Wives. So, what's the long-term plan for the band? What is going to happen to this band in 2016 and beyond?
Ooh, well,
That is a
we're gonna
big question.
keep playing. Well, we're excited to put out the second album that we made this winter, and we're just gonna keep hitting
Keep
it
more
hard.
of the same, actually. Like just a lot of touring. We'd like to get out more and
Yeah.
be on the road.
This year's been really interesting because we quit our jobs in January, and that's a big life transition. And we felt like we had a lot to conquer in a very short time. There were two albums, and then this big conference we wanted to attend, and then a tour, and then another tour, and it's like there were so many hurdles, and I think now we might be slowing down a little bit, but just like a comfortable like 55 miles per hour instead of 78.
Ben looks like he wants to go 80 over there.
Ben wants to go 80. Yeah. But with that being said, I think that like we were doing a lot of things saying like, let's make this happen. We have to do this or else it's going to fizzle out. We've got to get going again. We've got to get started with this new Crane Wives. And for me, this last tour was kind of redefining because I think I didn't realize this until this tour, but I guess that I've been kind of not believing that anything would actually come of this. And I mean that in like not a terrible way. Like I love our band. I always wanted this to be something that we would be a part of, but it always kind of felt like a pipe dream. Like people would be like, "You're going to make it." And I'd be like, "Ha, that's really nice of you to say, but you're crazy." But with this tour, we had such a good reception from people we've never met, from places we've never been, and it started to feel like this might actually work out for us.
It's starting to feel a lot more possible than it did 5 years ago, which is really exciting.
Yeah, or even just last year.
So, as part of this, will you be trying to shop this to any record labels in terms of your albums, or are you pretty confident and happy with doing this independently?
We're kind of torn about record labels, and
I still feel like labels aren't necessary to be a successful band at this point. Like just
don't
with
say that.
I'm not
Because they might hear that and not let us have a record deal.
I wouldn't turn it down if it was offered, but I feel like I don't know that that's a priority necessarily for us. Like I think what we're looking for more now is more of an independent success. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, hey, I'm going to butt in here. The music industry is just an evolving thing, and it's completely different from what it was even in just the 90s. And we're finding kind of a business model here where we can almost make a living doing pretty much about what we're doing. Like, we're getting pretty close. So there's not a whole lot of impetus for us to go out and get a record label, but at the same time, we could use some direction, you know? Like, it's just kind of weird.
We want to give it to us.
It's like it's one more person that takes a cut though, so it's all very much like it would depend on the offer itself. It would depend on a lot of different things. So
Definitely depend on the people that approach and like, you know, we just want to make art. And so if they're going to help us do that, awesome. But like Ben said, it's a changing atmosphere and we don't really know. It's very uncertain as to what it's going to be like with all the technology. Who knows what it's going to be like in 2 years, you know? So just kind of riding the wave.
Yeah, so many bands now are doing what you're doing independently and having success, and it's something that couldn't have happened 15 or 20 years ago because labels did run the system, and those have since pretty much imploded. So in a lot of ways, you are sort of part of the new business model.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're proving that it may be quite successful. So let's close out with one more song. What are you going to finish up with today?
Well, this is our favorite closer. It is a song that we wrote in the UP on a beach at like 1 a.m, and it's called Sleeping Giants.
Feel the mountains, I feel the mountains shifting underneath. Sleeping giants are finally waking. My pulse is clear, rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. My pulse is clear, rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. The moon is humming lovely melodies. The forest echoes, the trees are crowing, hungry, hungry harmonies. My voice is rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. My voice is rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. My pulse is clear, rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. My pulse is clear, rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. My pulse is clear, rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. My pulse is clear, rushing in my ears. I hear something calling me. Ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ah, ah, ah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Crane Wives. Thanks once again to all of you for being part of this special interview and podcast at River City Studios. Thank you to River City, of course, and to Hopcat. And keep your eye on Local Spins in the next few days for a full podcast video and story that you can use to relive this experience and let other folks know about it. And remember that the Crane Wives are playing this Saturday night. Their official CD release party for Grand Rapids takes place 9:30 p.m. Steve Leafy and the Expats are opening the show, so it should be a great night of music. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.